It's only entertainment.
Welcome back to The Talking Hedge. I'm Josh Kincaid, Capital Markets Analyst and host of your Cannabis Business Podcast. With me here is Michael Johnson. He is with Metrc. Michael, thanks for being with us on The Talking Hedge.
Appreciate you having me.
Appreciate you being back. Tell me a little bit about your company, what you do, and then we'll get into MJ BizCon.
Absolutely, yeah. Metrc is the leading provider of track and trace services and compliance solutions for we're in 23 states now, or 21 states with 2 jurisdictions, Guam and Washington, D.C. Put together the backbone of the legal market, and really doing our very best to meet as many of our partners here as possible, and try and be as open to conversations and growing as we can.
I always forget Guam has a regulated market. Any plans on getting into Puerto Rico? I find Puerto Rico to be fascinating, being the only place in America that you can go as an employee or business and not be forced to pay federal taxes, which puts a huge advantage on anybody who's making CBD or THC products to only pay 4% corporate tax. Do you have any plans on getting into the Puerto Rican market?
We like to have plans to get into every market, so Puerto Rico is certainly on our radar. We're focused on trying to be the best partners and provide the best solution we can. And if it's Puerto Rico that comes up as an opportunity, we're super excited about that, just like any other state.
Talk to me about the importance of what you're doing. Why does somebody need to be in compliance?
Yeah, the legal market really is going to be the opportunity for folks to kind of help destigmatize cannabis, to be able to help folks that are not cannabis folks get more comfortable with cannabis, help folks that are cannabis folks ensure that they're getting safe, secure products. Really, the backbone of the legitimate industry is really the core element of what we're trying to support. The stronger the legal industry is, the weaker the illegal industry will become. I think the folks that are here at MJ BizCon, which is an incredible collection of individuals and companies, are a true testament to the power of the legal market and where we're going. And so, it's still really early. We forget this industry is, not much more than a decade old in the United States. So there's a lot to do, and helping make it safe, secure, and to protect the supply chains and public health is really the most critical part in helping all of these folks that are here at the event to be successful.
There's a lot of different nuances from state to state. What's one of the more complicated that you have to deal with, and what makes it challenging?
I think the most complicated is the difference between medical and adult use states. So there's Oklahoma, for example, has almost as many licensees as California, and it's medical only. And so medical is a unique set of regulations and requirements. Adult use obviously does as well, but the medical ones tend to be a little bit more stringent. And so trying to balance, there's also a number of states where they have medical programs and adult use programs. And so that gets somewhat confusing for folks that are kind of on one side or another, or not really sure where they fall and how they're able to get their cannabis. So really helping educate and helping to support folks, because it's confusing. We know it's confusing. We know regulation and compliance can be challenging, and our goal is to make it frictionless.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of individuals who don't like compliance. There's a lot of mom and pop operators who just aren't very good at the day-to-day minutia of the track and trace, or just whatever procedures, right? So is it helping diversion, or is it hindering small business growth?
I would say it's definitely helping diversion. We see, you can definitely see from the data in certain states that have more relaxed regulations, you can certainly see like the percentage or the density of cannabis that makes it to the legal market and sold in the retail space versus what's actually grown. And the regulators take that information, they do things with it, and hopefully build a strong compliance structure. I would say for the smaller growers that find compliance challenging for them, that's something we hear and we understand, and our goal is to make compliance frictionless. And so we've dedicated a lot of time and resources, brought a new CTO in the last month to help make our improve functionality and usability of our product such that compliance isn't challenging. But I would also say that keeping track of your inventory, paying attention to your processes, understanding what produces higher yields or a better product, and whatever your definition of better product is really going to be critical to help these small businesses be successful. I don't think that just because somebody's having to go through maybe another step or two from a compliance perspective, that if we're missing all these other strong, good business practices, that they're going to ultimately prevail in the market as folks get better and better and produce much. I mean, it's just incredible. The innovation that we see here is amazing. So helping to support folks, helping to give them some of the infrastructure that we can, because the vast majority of our small growers don't integrate with another product, and so to the extent we can support them and help them with their business they can see Metrc is something that's value add, not just a source of compliance. It's certainly something that we care a lot about.
Okay. What's your revenue model? How are you able to generate income?
So we have a variety of different ways. So we contract primarily with the state governments. So the state governments will pay us directly. Generally, those numbers are smaller. It's kind of the nature of the competitive element and the kind of a quirk of a public RFP process. We generally also, at the state's direction, will have certain costs that will flow down to the actual operators, and generally that's in the form of either charging on consumption or usage or per plant basis in the form of, and we kind of use a tag as like our vehicle to charge on a per plant basis. And so there's a variety of different ways that we're doing it in different areas, but primarily it's been using the individual plant or the individual package as our vehicle and the tags that go with that.
A lot of people look at the track and tracing and they think of it as simply a way to be compliant. And some people could peel back a layer of the onion and say, well, it helps with diversion. Is there any information or anecdotal evidence that it's also limiting internal theft?
Yeah, there is actually, and so I think the biggest benefit in what we do for folks that I really think doesn't get as much traction. We certainly have done a great job at making folks aware of the magic of RFID, but every other developed agricultural supply chain, including Walmart, require RFID through the entire supply chain. I mean, Walmart made an announcement in January that everything in their supply chain, like literally everything, has to have an RFID inlay before it gets to the shelves by the end of the year. And so we don't really do much, and we have not historically done much to help folks facilitate the wireless and passive data collection, and also the management of their plants or their products, whatever they're producing, via the magic of RFID. And so for that, it's a huge benefit. It really is incredible. We just had some folks in California where we were working with the state. There's utilizing RFID in a dispensary saved 4 full-time people in terms of folks that they needed to maintain packaging, inventory, restocks, things of that nature, able to do it all wirelessly. And so that's an example, I think, especially for the smaller operators, on how they can find significant efficiencies and really gain profitability and help support their business.
How unpack that a little bit, because I'm curious about the ability to streamline the employment process. Can you explain that a little bit more about how that's going to reduce headcount?
So anytime, like what typically happens in any sort of inventory structure is you're picking, shipping, you're counting things manually, you might be scanning something with a barcode. Happens in any business that deals with inventory. When you're doing things with the RFID perspective, you're constantly, you have like this perpetual or this up to the second count of inventory, and also depending on how you structure your RFID readers and technology that supports that, you can identify where things are within a facility. Like specifically, like we have X number of packages that are in this particular room, and some folks get even more sophisticated than that. And a number of the folks that are doing really great things are actually here at MJ BizCon. So being able to kind of see the process all along the way and do it without wirelessly without touching anything. And using the passive data collection as you're moving things through the supply chain is really how you're able to save so much time, and you're not required to have as much manpower to perform kind of basic tasks.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Interesting. Are there any states that are hesitant or reluctant? It seems like it's been fairly uniform in its adoption, but are there any regulators that are pushing back?
For track and trace, or the tag model?
Yeah.
We haven't seen much. I mean, every state except for, I think it's Arizona is the only one that requires track and trace. Some are doing it a little bit differently. So Washington, I know you're from Washington, is a little bit of a different kind of a model where they've kind of tried to do their own thing, and I think there's some challenges there. I'm sure there's some benefits that folks see. So we try and continue to work with our partners and friends in Washington to evaluate what the opportunities look like. We have significant conversations with folks in Canada about the way their structure works. They have an even different kind of a structure, and there's a lot of challenges. I mean, diversion, lack of visibility, risks of public health. The mold is a very big deal, and going through the testing process and being able to facilitate really swift recalls allows folks to protect public health, and there's no better or more effective way to do that than via a robust track and trace mechanism.
I would also think for spider mite issues, if you had like a particular center of infection, then you could then just figure out which tags were around that within a perimeter, and then that could help with some issues as well.
Absolutely, we can tell. I mean, the second somebody finds something, any kind of a product that there's an issue with, we can identify within seconds the entire chain of custody back to the original plants. We can identify where they're at, or physically where they're at any point in time. And in some cases, depending on the state and regulations, especially for medical, you can identify anybody that's purchased something that may have been tainted or has a spider mite or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Talk to me about MJ BizCon. Why are you here? What is your goal? What are you going to get out of it?
Yeah, MJ BizCon for us is just an opportunity to be out there. I've been in this role for less than 6 months now, maybe almost 6 months, and a lot of folks, a lot of the feedback I've gotten over this time is that Metrc is a bit of a black box for some folks, and we don't really talk to them, and we just use the software whether we like it or not, and we don't really know how to get help or who to talk to. We don't know if there's real people there. And so we're not here peddling any wares of any kind. It's really more of an opportunity for us to be out, to try and talk to folks that use Metrc, that integrate with Metrc, to kind of hopefully put faces with Metrc, and to build some conversations that can hopefully improve the product, improve the customer experience, and overall help to support the legal market the best way possible.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. If anybody wants to learn more information, get a hold of you, find out more about it, where can they do that at?
Yeah, Metrc.com is going to be the easiest way. We're on every social media platform there is for sure. Feel free to reach out to me directly, michael.johnson@metrc.com. I really want to do the very best I can to support folks and help them be as successful as possible in staying compliant and in helping to support the legal market.
Okay. I think with that, we're going to have to roll this one up, so I want to thank my guest, Michael Johnson with Metrc. Appreciate you being on The Talking Hedge.
Thanks so much, Josh.
I'm Josh Kincaid. This is The Talking Hedge. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, or don't, and I'm out. Don't forget to smash that like button on your way out, and check out these other videos that we've got.